Hi there! So this is the first book review for 2025 and it's for the sci-fi and fantasy book club in February. And the book we are reading is Poor Things by Alistair Gray. So when I saw there was this book in the selection, we usually vote for the book that we're gonna read, I was very tempted to read it because a few months ago, maybe a year ago, I'm not sure, they made a movie out of it. And I read and watched a couple of reviews about the movie, so I was not very convinced about the story, and I thought, okay, let's give it a go. I want to see it for myself. So I started reading it, and I was already like, okay, this book has a problem. And I ended up loving it. So yeah, let's get started. So the story is this one. We have a doctor called Baxter who decides to create the perfect woman. That's why Bella Baxter is often referred to as the female Frankenstein or feminist Frankenstein, because we have this doctor who is a genius who decides, in his own words, to create a beautiful woman who also has very high intelligence, who we can talk to. This is a cliché. It's a very patriarchal stereotype of the special woman, because of course all the other women are not special. You need the special woman. This is an idea that patriarchy loves. And so that's why I thought, okay, a great start. So yeah, Baxter decides to... he's been experimenting with bodies, trying to bring them back to life, and he finds this woman who decides to suicide and throw herself in the river. And she was pregnant. So what he decides to do is he takes this woman as a body, and he takes the brain of the baby, the unborn baby, and he puts it in the head of the woman. It's already very grotesque and very morbid, but it gets better. So the story is told us by Archibald McCandless, who is university fellow and friend of Baxter, who is also called God throughout the story, so it's not a coincidence, as he's the one that created Bella. I think that in the end the story is about making Bella in more than one way, because we have like 4 narrative styles, different narrative styles throughout the book. Anyway, this is the basic story. We have this beautiful woman with the brain of a child. And the first time McCandless meets her is already astonished, because he sees that this woman, that is of course is charming and beautiful and everything, who is very childish, who has this very childish way of acting, because of course her brain is underdeveloped. So for this reason, in the first pages of the book, McCandless defines her as either an idiot or an infant. So in page 30 it says only idiots and infants talk like that. So we already see that is this stereotype, right? The beautiful woman, but not very intelligent in a way, which is kind of the opposite of what Baxter wanted to create, really. But and also McCandless says something very interesting in this first pages, a few pages after he says that only infants and idiots talk like that. He says, you think you're about to possess what men have hopelessly yearned for throughout the ages, the soul of an innocent child inside the body of a lovely woman. This is one of the reasons why some of the reviews I saw about the movie were a bit complicated, because they were talking about mental retard, basically. Because if you have a grown-up woman with the brain of a child, that's classified as abuse. But this is something for the movie, because the story then develops in a very different way. So what Alistair Gray did, he twisted on his head the idea of the special woman, of course, Because first of all we see, so the journey of Bella Baxter starts as she is a child in a sense, so she's a fool. So every hero's journey starts with a fool. This is like something very much connected to tarot cards as well. So you have an innocent character who is very childish in a way, who is very foolish, who is very naive, and has both characteristics, so the naivety and the recklessness. And Bella combines both of these things because she's very childish, she is learning her way through the world, but at the same time she has the cruelty of children because she doesn't have the social structure to kind of sustain her. She doesn't have the social implication, she doesn't know about social implication, how a woman should act, how a woman should think. So in this sense, what is very important to notice as well is that Bella doesn't have a past. And she says so. So in page 61, she says, I need more past, because I don't have a past, because I cannot remember anything. She remembers some things bodily, like she has this kind of dream-like memories, but at the same time, everything is completely new. She starts from a blank slate. And this is the reason why Godwin decides to take her around the world. He wants to show her the world. He wants to give her past, give her a history, so that she can have a personal story. And yes, so her journey starts that she wants to create her own life. And because she doesn't have memory, she needs experiences, she needs knowledge. And this is something that she achieves, first of all, through bodily experiences. So she discovers sex. And she wants a lot of it, because she finds out that she likes it, something that men around her find very strange and very problematic, because we know how patriarchy works. And then she discovers knowledge, she discovers politics, she discovers the world in a broad sense. And yeah, so it's very interesting to notice that Bella is a person who desires. So she's a desiring subject, she's not a desire object. And this is one of the key points of the book. And that's one of the reasons why it's said to be a feminist tale, which I'm not sure how much I can agree on that, but anyway. To some extent it is, because, and I really enjoy that part, because Bella is desiring things. So when we first meet her, yeah, she is very childish, as said, and then we meet this character, Wedderburn, who wants her, and she says, okay, fine, I'm going to sleep with you and travel with you and go around the world with you, no problem with that. And what is interesting, when Wedder wants her first, he wants her as a creature without any past, which is very patriarchal as well. She doesn't have a history, is a woman without any history, any vulnerabilities, any issues in a sense. She's just want to have sex with him and learn things. Basic. But yeah. And he wants an angel in the house, basically. So in the moment in which she starts actually discovering things and presenting her personality to the world, he goes mad. He starts actually having too much of her, and this becomes problematic. Which is also something, this is something very feminist, is a very feminist concept, because as other feminists with more authority on the subject have said before me, men in a patriarchal society wants women to fit in small places and to not have desires at all. So yeah, this is something that is very feminist in the book, because she doesn't have to take space. In the moment in which she starts to take up space and to have desires, then she becomes problematic, and the men around her are driven mad by this, because they cannot hold her anymore. They don't know what to do with her anymore. So that's why the book is called Poor Things, because we have these men that they desire her, but then they are destroyed by her, because she is at the beginning is a very flat character, but then she starts getting all these aspects and she starts making her own life story. So yeah, that's a part of it as well. So Bella basically becomes a nightmare for all the men that she meets, She even says, poor things, they were being driven mad by one Bella, which is already kind of ironic and grotesque and funny in a way. There were a lot of funny parts in this book. So yeah, Bella's journey is a hero's journey in a way. That starts with a fool, for her becoming a person we hope, even though she's no longer innocent. Something that breaks her story is that when she's traveling, she goes to, I think it's Alexandria, and she discovers poverty, and that is something that breaks her. So we have a moment of destruction in her narrative. She discovered politics, she discovered that the world is not a fair place, it's not a very nice playground that she thought at the beginning. So in this way, she started building her story, because she said, okay, I'm not innocent anymore, I'm not naive anymore, but I still want to hold hope. I still want to believe that there is hope, and I still want to make the world a better place, and I'm going to work for it. I want to become a doctor, and I want to be in charge of things, to make things better. And this is something very feminist as well in the book, because she starts having an agency. So she's not just a deciding subject that wants things, she's also saying, okay, I'm taking responsibility for this, I want to do something about this. I want to be a doctor, I want to talk about contraception to women, I want to help women. So yeah, this is like very important in the story, because she says herself that she started as a pleasure seeker, and then she became a truth seeker. And she wants Goodwin as her god, as the person that made her, to help her. And then on her side, she also has McCandless, who is the person that loves her unconditionally and says, okay, I'm here to support you for whatever you want to do. And yeah, this is how the story ends in a way, because then we have her family, the family for her previous life, that comes in and wants to take her back home. And they say, okay, you were Victoria, you're not Bella, you were married, and blah, blah, blah. And they want to take her back. And they say, okay, you are crazy for many reasons, but we want to take you back home. And she say, no, here I stay, here I stand, and here I stay, I'm not moving from here. So in the end, we have a kind of a fairy tale ending, because she decides to stay with Godwin as her mentor, as the person that gave her a life and also knowledge and truth, and McCandless, who is the person that loves her. Okay, so this is part of the story, and I totally loved it, and I was very emotional when I finished this part. But then I was shocked, because there are the last few pages that talk about the story told by Bella Baxter herself, by Victoria Baxter actually. And it was very shocking, because what we find out is that was just a nice story, that was just a nice tale. So Victoria says in the epilogue, I guess, she says, okay, everything that you read is just an imaginative story, very nice, but it's not the truth. My story was very different. Actually, I'm not a superwoman, I'm just a classic woman, I'm just a normal woman who ran away from home because they wanted to torture me, basically. They want me to have a surgery, and I decided, I met Godwin Baxter, who I fell in love with, but I couldn't have a relationship with him. So I decided to marry a weak man who I can use to reach my own goals, which is to become an empowered woman. This is why I'm not totally convinced if she's a feminist hero or not, heroine or not, because she's very self-oriented in a sense, like, okay, this is what I want, this is what I'm getting, that's it. Yes, I want to help people, but I'm using the other people around me. So yeah, I'm not sure, maybe it's the dark side of feminist, I guess, but anyway, this is another topic. What I find interesting is that this story is, first I wanted to call it The Making of Bella Baxter, because we see like 4 narrative levels. We see the story told by McCandless, and then in the story, like a kind of, 1001 Nights, we have a story in the story in the story. So McCandless is the one telling the main part, but then we have the story by Godwin Baxter, how he created Bella, and we have the story of the previous husband, and then we have the story of Wedderburn. So we have like all characters saying a story about Bella until we reach the end, and Victoria says, "No, I am Bella Baxter. I'm saying now I'm telling my story." And I think that this was very shocking for me. I can't wait to talk with you guys about this. But yeah, something very important for me is that a point stays the same in between the two parts of the book. So the main part and the last part of the book is that basically two things. So the first one is that Bella is telling us that women are objects, are property. So they don't have agency. They are not subjects. They are not desiring subject. They can be only desire objects. So this is already one thing that stays the same through the narrative. So in one part we have Bella saying, okay, usually they're objects. I don't want to be an object. And the second part, Victoria is telling us the same thing, saying, okay, I don't want to be an object, because what the characters tell us about the women that have desires throughout the book is that they must be met. And this is a very strong topic that feminism analyzed a lot throughout the years. So a desiring woman is usually met. She cannot desire sex, she cannot desire to have a life, she cannot desire to be something different from what society told her to be. And when this is like a trope that stays the same in the book. The second thing that I found very interesting is that in the first part, Bella doesn't have a past, as we said. So she wants to travel, discover the world, to create herself a story, to create her own past, because she doesn't have a past. And then she makes her own person. But in Victoria's story, she actually has a past, which is very painful, and she wants to forget about it. She even says to Godwin, I don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. Give me a new life. I want to have a new life. And Godwin says to her, no, you need this. You need actually the painful part of your stories. You see as two different words because you see in them separate. But actually both of them will make who you are. And this is a very, very strong idea in the book, which goes back to Nietzsche with the idea of amor fati, which is the idea that you choose your destiny. You embrace your destiny. But you cannot do that without accepting your past, without accepting your history. And this is an idea that then has been also developed by Jung, who said, I mean, the quote is not by Jung, but the concept is very Jungian, the only way out is through. So the only real choice is a painful choice. There is no other way. Like, you need to take your story and say, okay, this is what I've been given. It's painful, but I'm making something out of it. And that's how Victoria decides to make her own story. And yeah, this is my review. I think it's gonna be a bit more confusing than I intended to, but it's also a stream of consciousness. So I hope you enjoy, and see you next time. Thank you.